Let's unpack those moves now with Ridwaan Moolla, the CEO of ThinkMarkets. Ridwaan, as always, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Let's start with that performance of the rand. As I mentioned, yesterday we saw quite a bit of pressure on the local bourse. Today there's been a nice improvement. What would you say were some of the big catalysts that have informed today's movements, perhaps both locally and globally?
Yeah, today was actually quite a nice day, almost 1% in the green, but that was really and truly thanks to the resource sector led by Goldfields, which was up over 21%. I mean, this was after they canceled the agreement with Yamana in Canada, and they're going to get about 300 million USD in what they call a break fee back. But we also saw RB Platts up 10%, Anglo Plat also just up over 10%. And then the only thing that dampened the resource sector was Northam. Northam falling down just over 6%, and that was after it announced its formal offer to acquire RB Platts. There's been a lot of concern there between them as well as obviously Impala Platinum, both of them trying to buy the company RB Platts. But yeah, that's been the big talking point right now. And then overseas, obviously, as you saw, I mean, as you might have read today, we've got Elon Musk selling again shares. You know, he sold quite a fortune right now of his Tesla shares, and Mark Zuckerberg coming out with the announcement that they're going to actually cut 11,000 jobs.
Yeah, no, that's quite big, and those developments are quite important. And we'll get into the specifics of those developments in the US in a moment. But I want to focus on RB Platt. 50 billion rand is what Northam is putting on the table. I think the company is valued on the JSE at around 43, so not that far off. And apart from those concerns, do you think that this would be a decent move for Northam and the strategy that it's on?
So, I mean, obviously, with the share price being down today, just over 2%, most investors don't think this is a really good idea. But this has also been going on for now almost a year between Impala and Northam. Remember, the two of them actually own quite a bit already of RB Platt. You've got, 34% being owned by Northam, just over 40% by Impala. So these two, and they've both made offers, I mean, to buy the company. Now, it's obviously going to be a bidding war, and that's very good for RB Platt shareholders, but it's not necessarily going to be very good for both Northam and Impala, because they're going to be overpaying then potentially for this company.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's get into Rebosis. Now, they are one of the property companies that have reeled for a few years now, notwithstanding COVID and other elements that have put pressure on them. They're currently rather in a business rescue, and they're going for an extension. So it doesn't seem that clean up within the business or the revival of the business is going too well if there has to be an extension, Ridwaan.
Yeah, no, it's obviously been one of the companies that we've seen right now just not recover at all. In comparison, you're looking at the redefines and them, which have been doing a lot better. But it's definitely, I think, one of the bigger shockers, if I can say. You really thought that they would recover after 2020, obviously people going back into offices and doing all of those type of things. But they've really now, they're just not going to manage. It's unfortunate and really sad, but it is a company that is really and truly now, I think it's really at the end of its lifespan right now. It's going to take a lot for them to recover, if they can.
Yeah, I remember I used to interview the CEO quite often, Sisa Nkebulana, at the time when they listed on the JSE, but times are different now. Ridwaan, lastly and very briefly, Elon selling $4 billion worth of Tesla's stock, and then Facebook deciding to get rid of 11,000 people. What is happening with these stocks and really the direction that the companies are taking at the moment?
So the scary thing of Elon Musk is he's actually sold about $36 billion worth of shares in the last year. So that, a lot of people are saying, obviously, that has to do with his Twitter buyout, having to pay that enormous fee for Twitter, and the fact that Twitter is actually making a loss as well. So there's not much known as to why he's selling all these shares, but we can pretty much look at it and see that, yes, it has to definitely do with the Twitter buyout plan. With regards to Mark Zuckerberg, with Meta, obviously this has been coming. He's been talking about it since September already, but it's actually something which the market is feeling actually quite optimistic about. The fact that he's cutting these costs, obviously it's not a good thing. People are losing their jobs, but at least it's from a company point of view, they've looked at now trying to turn things around, get it obviously into a good place. And I mean, today, at this moment in time, Meta's up over 7% with that announcement coming through. So from a shareholder point of view, it's obviously a good thing that the company is looking at cutting costs, especially in these difficult times. But obviously, the sad part of it is that that's 11,000 jobs that are going to be people are going to be unemployed.